So as you know, standard suspension, that's pretty much at full tuck, and there's plenty of room up in there, and also plenty of room on the inside, so that's good. Plenty of room in here as well. I haven't taken this rear mud flap off like I've seen some people do. The only issue I might have is here, but I honestly actually think it's going to be okay, because that's pretty tucked up in there and there's plenty of room. So 285 straight in there, or pretty much a 33. Looking good, looking much better. That's what, that's with the handbrake on. Who said there's something wrong with the bloody LandCruiser handbrake? Full of it. Haha. As far as highway revs go, at about 110, it seems to have dropped them a very little bit. Going to the 33 has dropped the revs, if anything, a tiny amount. So there's that. Now, I'm not putting the lights on in the shed today. I want to try something different and see how it looks. But putting these tyres on has completely changed the look of this car. Ridiculously. It's bloody good, and I love these wheels too. G'day folks, what have I gone and done? So, I went to my tyre shop yesterday, a local Tyre Right in Alice Springs, and just to price up a set of tyres, Mickey Thompson's, and I thought I'd be waiting weeks, you know, it's the end of the year. So anyway, they ended up saying that they had a set in stock and they could fit them yesterday at 3 o'clock. So I said, why not? Now, they're Mickey Thompson Baja ATs, Baja Bosses. 285, 75, 16 is the size. As you know, I've been running stock tyres for about 7,000 Ks already, and I wasn't really planning on changing them for a while. I haven't had any flats, so that's nice. But it was just a spur of the moment thing. They had them there, so I thought I may as well get them fitted. Like, normally you got to order them and it takes a while. One of the main reasons that I pulled the trigger on them as well was to lift the car a little bit. There's a particular spot on the station, bit of a rock ledge that you got to climb down, and the number plate drags there a lot, and also the rear spring, leaf spring. So I wasn't really that worried at the start, but if I keep doing it, I'm just gonna, you know, break something. So you tackle it slow, but I don't want to keep, you know, dragging the leaf spring or messing up the number plate. So this is a good way to fix a few issues at the same time. You know, you get obviously a strong tire and you get some lift out of the vehicle. Like overall lift brings the diffs up and everything. So probably going to get about 1.25 inches out of it, which is pretty good. Half of the, you know, the width of the tire. It also should bring down the highway revs a little bit. I did shoot up the highway into 110. It seems to have dropped them a tiny bit. Not much at all. Now, these have gone straight on with no suspension modifications. So 33s, straight onto the 70 series Cruiser, no problem. I see that some blokes do remove this rear mudguard. I'm not going to do that. Look at all this cow poo. I'm not going to do that for now, like it's clearing okay. And also, I see some blokes on the previous model used to trim up the bull bar, depending on what bull bar was fitted. I think if the Toyota bar was fitted, you had to trim it a little bit. But this is clearing okay. There's no problems at all. Now, I did take it out for a bit of a drive and, you know, got the suspension to work a little bit, and I didn't have any rubbing. It wasn't like a full test. You know, I may have some problems later on once I, you know, work it properly and whatever, but flex it up a bit more. But I think it's going to be okay. Like when I went for a drive this morning, I had the front right pretty much full tucked in, and it was nowhere near the bull bar. So that's another thing I love about these, the fact that you can chuck a 33 on without a lift, like straight from the factory. It's just so good, so nice. Now I couldn't get, they only had 4 available, so I got the 4. I was gonna get them to just chuck a second-hand, you know, crappy, cheap on as the spare, because I really don't use spare tyres these days, just because the tyres are so good. But when I do get flats, 99% of them are repairable by a simple plug. But obviously you can't go out bush without a spare. They didn't actually have any second-hand cheapies there, so they had to fit another brand, and I'll show you that right now. So this is a Radar Renegade RT, so a rugged terrain. Now, I don't know much about this brand. It's a 10-ply tread, 3-ply sidewall, 3 polyester plies for the sidewall, load range E. Now, interestingly enough, I'll run through prices soon. This was a hell of a lot cheaper than these Mickeys. I mean, no surprise there, but just how much cheaper was a bit of a shock. And I said to old mate at the tyre shop, oh, and it says made in China on here. There you go. Not saying there's anything wrong with that, I just read that, just noticed it. And I think the Mickeys are made in the USA. They are made in the USA. Now, I did say to old mate, you know, I wonder if these are worth a try. I'm not scared to try new stuff. I generally shy away from nasty cheap stuff because I need things to be reliable and work, and I've just had experiences with a lot of different brands of a lot of different things, tires, all sorts of different stuff, tools, whatever. But the fact that they're so much cheaper and they've still got a 3-ply sidewall, 10-ply tread, you know, why not give them a go? But he did say to me, he's bought himself a new Cruiser and he's running them, and he recommended against it. He just reckons, oh, I don't think they'd be tough enough for what you're doing. I've told my brother about him, he kind of wants to try them out, but I am curious because you never know. You could get them and they could be great, but I guess it's more than that too. It could be maybe the tread wears out very quick, maybe they're hard to balance, you know, if they're a lot cheaper tyre, maybe the construction's not as good, the manufacturing process isn't as good. I'll show you something funny with these too. Look at the little skulls on there. That means you'll never ever get a flat tyre. So anyway, that's the spare, which is going to do me for now, no problem at all. I think it'll be fine. Rightio, now for the moment you've all been waiting for. Pricing. So, the Baja Bosses are about $540. Not a cheap tyre. They actually helped me out and gave me a good price. It's got nothing to do with YouTube or whatever. It's just because, you know, they're my local tyre shop. I've been going to them for years now, and so they helped me out. They actually said yesterday, I actually had a good chat with them, and they said you're very loyal to us and always come here for tyres and all sorts of stuff, so we're going to give you a discount, which was really good of them. So like I said, Mickey Thompson's were $540. They ended up charging me $505 a piece, which is really good. And this here, they charged me $270, but I can't remember what it's worth, the original price. I'm bloody kicking myself now. They did tell me and I cannot remember. but it might have been like 300 bucks or something. Not expensive at all. So they really helped me out there and gave me good prices for a total of 2,515. So that's not too bad at all. I'm very grateful for that. It was some good savings. And I like to support them, you know, local bunch, and they do a good job there. They're bloody good. Right, now obviously this tyre's up here because it won't fit underneath here. But interestingly enough, so you see this here. That's a bit of folded up sheet. That's bolted in, as you can see, and it's bolted to this cross member here, and it sticks out probably a good 50 mil. Oh, it's my understanding that on the Workmate, if you opt for this tray and this cradle, they don't have this under there. That is gone because the Workmate pretty much comes stock on 33's, but obviously the Workmate tyre is a lot skinnier. But old mate yesterday at the tyre shop was telling me that he got the tyre in here but couldn't quite get it closed up, which I knew that would be the case, but he reckons I'll fit it in. So I just got to take that out. He seems to think it's going to fit. If it does, that's pretty amazing that I can get a 33 under here stock. That's going to be perfect. So let's try that right now. Rightio, let's see. Undo the first bolt. Oh. Dude, they've done that up so tight. Probably with a rattle gun. I don't have to get a breaker bar. That's just bloody rude how tight that is. No need for that behaviour. Right. We got it with the breaker bar. Far out, I even had to put my hat backwards to get in here. That's when you know you're getting serious. That's the little bracket there. So that sits in up against there, tyre butts up against it. I was also thinking width, like, you know, more so widthways. Don't know about that. In my older LandCruiser, my 2008, I actually did have a 33 under here. But to make it work, I had to take this plate out, and then it basically took this plate out so the tyre sits down a bit lower, and it basically sits on these fuel tank cross members. But I was trying to avoid that if I could help it, just because, you know, it is nice to keep this in. It gives you a lot more strength, and it's nice to have the tyre sitting on this rather than something it probably shouldn't. And you got this electrical, you know, coming through. I could reroute that pretty easy. Like I said, I did do it on the first cruiser I had, and I didn't have any dramas. It was all good. Might have to play around a bit, take this out. Man, they've done everything up super tight. Now, my neighbours decided to jump on the whippersnipper in the mower. I just had to re-record some stuff, because damn, it's loud coming through the mic. Actually, another thing I did on my old cruiser, I ended up taking this whole cradle out just to save some weight, and I just took it all out and sat the 33 in there and actually put a ratchet strap over it, connected to each chassis member, and that worked fine. I just found a loose bolt. Naughty, naughty, and they didn't even put one in there. So when it goes in for its first service next week, guess what they'll be doing? Right, out you come. Don't want the tyre sitting down on any of this stuff. I think it's going to clear this stuff. It obviously sits on this bar here. Maybe it touches here. Obviously you can see marks, but I don't know if that's just from me pushing it in. But you know, it sits on this back bar and sort of sits up on those fuel tank members. Seems like it's fouling on is this here. I can probably take this out pretty damn easily. Now, this is the sender unit for the fuel tank by the look, so you don't want to mess with that. Like, you don't want to break this stuff, obviously. And I mean, I'm not worried about it sitting on these because all this back here is so strong. So I'm not really worried about that, just worried about this fragile stuff, this wiring and whatever. I broke that, so let's hope it's all good. Okay, so I've taken this out of here as well. So it sat there and it sat here. Taking that out, and I reckon if I get this right up out the way up there, and I will try and zippy tie it here or something, maybe even up here, I don't know yet, but if I can do that for now, that should be okay. The tyre will sort of come around here and miss it. But this little tab here, where this was clipped into, the tyre sits in here beautifully, but it is on that, and it's probably not good for the tyre or the tank to be having weight on this little area, you know, pushing down on the tank, but also that will probably gradually work its way through the sidewall of the tyre. So believe it or not, you might think this is silly, I'm going to cut that off. I don't need it, it's just to hold this, it's fine. I had the tyre in here, it fits good, I'm going to zippy tie that to there. There's plenty of movement. I'm just going to not tie it, just going to sit it there. That's going to be fine. I was going to put the grinder on this, but what do you reckon? It's a fuel tank, maybe that's a bit dumb. So I'm just going to cut that off with a hacksaw and we should be all good to go. The tyre clears all this electrical at the back, so that's perfect. It sits just above. Okay, so that worked out very well. Just going to give it a bit of a file. Try again for the 50th time. Beautiful, that's going to clip in, that's going to go in there. No drama. I think I read somewhere that some blokes pretty much have done what I've done, but they deflate this almost all the way down to get it in. But that's going to fit, that's fine. I'll just go check the front of the tyre. Okay, so I've put a zippy tie up the front on that cable I was showing you. I just zippy tied it to that tray cross member. Not tight or anything, it's just hanging there, it's got movement, so it's going to be all good. That pin goes in. I actually don't mind this setup, like how Toyota have done this. It's a good, you know, makes good use of underneath the tray, frees up tray space. Obviously, you know, a lot of other utes and whatever rigs out there have the tyre underneath, but I do like this. It's a good spot and it's easy to get to. You're not mucking around winding, you know, trying to stick your jack handle in there and wind the tyre down. It's just pin, undo this, slide straight out, easy. And it's nice and snug. No movement really. Look at that. Well, I'm very happy with that. That's bloody good. Alright, well, like I said, the tyres were fitted yesterday. I've shot this video and edited it and put it together, and I'm going to get it uploaded today. So, wasn't planning on doing this, but I happened to get these tyres, so perfect time, you know. Keep an eye out Sunday. There's about a half an hour ep that's going to go up where I muck around a bit on the cattle station, so keep an eye out for that one. So in case I don't see you before Christmas, hope everyone has a bloody good holiday, gets a bit of time off work, spend some time with your families and friends and all that sort of stuff, and hope it's all good and all positive. So Merry Christmas and have a beer on me. Thanks very much for watching, guys. Take it easy. Cheers.